So here you see there are two options. One is for a dust control operating permit. One is for an implosion permit. These are incredibly seldom, but for anyone that has submitted an implosion permit, and what we mean, you're imploding a building, a structure. But we're not going to go over implosion permits because those are very seldom. We're going to go over applying for a brand new permit. And it's exactly the same process, except for the implosion permit, you must submit asbestos paperwork and asbestos abatement forms and demo forms and a plan of how you're going to demolish the structure and all sorts of stuff like that. So we're just going to submit, we're going to apply for a new dust control operating permit today. We're going to click on this button to apply. And this is the screen that you're going to see, apply for a new permit. You're going to see our threshold requirements. This is when you need a permit. And then we say, before you submit this, please go on our map assistant to verify that this area is not already permitted. When I click here, it's going to open up our web assistant. So we have a couple of links going on here. Oh, or it's not going to open up our web assistant. No, it's not perfect. Sometimes our mapping software takes a little bit of time on a Monday morning to open up. Okay, but this is what it looks like. So these are accurate as a manual creation of a map is. Air Quality sends this off to our GIS team and our county IT, and they map it the way that it is shown here. It might not always be as accurate as everyone would like. When we see an error, we do notify them to remap something. But you will see these brown areas are the areas that are already permitted. So if you see this, please don't submit the permit. If you're supposed to have this permitted, my suggestion is reach out to the company that has it permitted and ask them to close it or modify their permit or whatnot. If you submit your permit application to us, that's what we're going to tell you. Decide who's going to be the permittee, because really we only want one permittee for a piece of land. Okay, let's go back into our system. Okay, so very first thing that you're going to see, the data entered into this permit app is not going to be saved if you do not click the submit button at the bottom of this, okay? It's not going to save things as you go. So make sure that you are ready to submit it when you sit down to actually fill out the information. I always suggest to people that you should create your map first so that you know what it is that you need to permit. So you know the amount of area you need to permit, and that when you get in here, this isn't, you know, you don't have to go back and forth. Do you have to do it that way? Of course not. You can do it whichever way is easiest for you, but I always say, make sure you have your map available. Okay. So I'm going to submit this dust control permit application as the responsible official of my own construction company, which does not actually exist, but we are going to pretend that it does. So my application type, and you'll notice that if you've submitted enough paper apps, you'll notice that this flows the same way as a paper app. We start with RO, the responsible official, and the permittee, and then we get to the on-site representative, project acreage, project info, and whatnot. Okay, so let's start with contractor. Well, let's start with the responsible official. We're going to select the application type as contractor. Enter in the first name of the responsible official. I'm going to be submitting this, this permit application as the president of my own company. Okay, permitting name. So the name of my company is going to be Anna's Construction Company. And the mailing address, I'm going to use our address here at Air Quality, even though that wouldn't be the address of a construction company, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'm going to put the company's office phone number. Mine is made up. And then my email address. So sometimes you guys want to add secondary email addresses or secondary contacts, okay? If you want to do that, if you want somebody copied on the permit when it is emailed out, because it will still be emailed out, that part is not going to change. If you want to be copied on it, under project description, enter in CC and whoever email address or type secondary contact, name, phone number, or whatnot. Construction site superintendent or designated on-site. This is going to be the on-site representative that is going to be that's going to be the dust card certified individual on-site that should be there when construction activities are occurring. My made-up employee's name is John Smith. His title is superintendent. And he works for a dot. You must enter this information in. The system will not accept your application if you have a red dot outstanding, okay? He works for me, so the company phone number will still be the same, but his mobile phone. Enter the email address. And then his dust card information. Clearly, I'm going to put in a fake dust card here and the expiration date. And that is my computer going a little slow. Sorry about that. Okay, if you have an on-site that has not yet taken the class, you must sign him up before you submit this permit application. The person must be scheduled for a class before we can release your permit, okay? After that point, they have 30 days to actually attend the class. So we want you to plan accordingly like that. If your superintendent does not yet have a dust card, make sure that you schedule them up for class. And when you enter in this information here, you'll want to type scheduled for his dust card number and then the date of the class. And that will let our permit reviewers know that they've been signed up. They will then verify that information. And as long as they see that that person has been signed up for dust class, they'll be able to release your permit. Right, of course, you have to pay when you register for the class, yeah. Okay, project information. So as I told you guys all before, you should always have your maps ready. Oh gosh, why is it opening like this? Okay, it's fine. You should always have your maps ready before you are, well, I say you should have your maps ready. Clearly, you're going to do this how you're going to do it, but the easiest way is to have your map already ready, okay? This is what I am going to permit. My area that I am permitting is highlighted in yellow. I have 2 pages of maps. Oh, look, on the second page didn't download because, oh, there we go, okay. And then on the second page, I have these 2 areas and I have a linear area here, okay? So I have a blasting area. I'm going to blast in this 5 acres. And I'm going to have a linear portion here. And these nonlinear portions here and here. Okay. Go back to my page. Project name. Okay, you want to name your project so that when our compliance officers are referencing it or you're referencing it, everybody knows what you are referring to, okay? I've named my project here Coffee Bean Ranch. And my project description is going to be new residential development. Okay, now if you want to add a secondary contact or you want to CC somebody on the permit email that goes out by admin staff, this is where you would put it, right? Here you would put CC, whoever it's going to be. Will portable crushing or powered screening occur on site? In my case, for my fake project, it's not going to. If you are going to have crushing or powered screening on site, you're going to want to reference our frequently asked questions document, which is accessible right here with this hyperlink, and then you'll make your selection. If you select no, you're just going to move on to the next step. If you select yes, you're going to have to answer these two questions before you can move to the next step. Project attributes. So here you're going to want to select, just like on our paper app, you're going to want to select all that apply, okay? So in my case, I am creating a residential development. I'm going to have some utility work that I'm going to do, and I'm going to have blasting of soil and rock, okay? So I'm going to put all of those in here. Does my project qualify for a sign waiver request? If your project duration is 2 weeks or less, you can request a sign waiver. Well, you can request a sign waiver. If your project is less than 2 weeks and it's clear that it is, we're going to accept it. So here I'm going to say no because mine does not qualify. If I had said yes, then it would give me the option if I want to request a sign waiver. Okay, the physical location. What is the physical location of my project? Well, this is on, let me open up my map, Iron Mountain Road and Schaumburg Road. I don't have an actual address yet because it's all just raw desert land. If you're demoing a house, you're going to put the house address here. So we are going to say, spelled correctly, Iron Mountain Road and I can never remember if there's a C there or not. Okay, and Las Vegas. Okay. If you have a city, state, zip, you're going to enter it here. This one is in Las Vegas. Okay. First major cross street, it's going to be Iron Mountain Road. My second major cross street probably can be Schaumburg, but it could also be Sky Village Road. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Sky Canyon up in the Northwest, but this is where I basically put this fake project. Schaumburg Road. So let me just tell you guys, normally when we say major cross streets, they're going to be the big ones here. If you have a little one that cuts in here, that's not what we mean. We mean like the big one. So if I said, hey, I need you to come to Decatur and Russell Road, everybody's going to know. Okay. Proximity. So I have my proximity here is going to be east of that intersection and my parcel number. I have multiple parcel numbers, but I'm just going to enter one of them. You have to enter the correct digits, okay? And as you all know, your particulate emission potential is going to be based on your parcel number, okay? Project disturbed surface area. Okay, so my nonlinear area disturbed is going to be 47.63 acres. And then I am going to add my linear area that I have already calculated out. My linear area on this page is 2,515 feet long by 50 feet wide. Okay, that's my linear area. The length is 2515, width is 50. Oh, see, not 500. And my project acreage is now over 50 acres. Okay, we're going to head into the dust mitigation plan. My water source, this is a big project. I'm going to have a stand tank and I'm going to connect it to a hydrant and I'm going to have a water truck, multiple probably water trucks and or pools. Because my project is over 10 acres, it is going to require a supplement to the mitigation plan. I have one ready. Okay. You guys, well, a lot of you have seen our supplement to the mitigation plans. This is a written plan of action that you're going to submit to us. You're going to provide us, if you're going to be phasing it, you're going to tell us when you're going to start, when you plan on ending, what you anticipate for spending on dust control, who your contractors are, who your dust card holders will be, and then it should be signed by the RO. Okay. So I am going to upload this file. I'm going to select File. It's going to open up your File Explorer. Whoops. I have all my files for this saved on Drive. And my supplement, I've just labeled it as SMP for my own purposes because I need to know what it is. Okay. You head into, these are all of the activities that you could be performing. They each have their own best management practices. When your permit is issued, the best management practices will be outlined in the permit. My project is over 50 acres, so these are now required fields. My dust monitor, what did I name my fake dust monitor? We're going to say his name is John Hughes. Okay. When your project is not more than 50 acres on this one project, you'll still have the option to add a dust control monitor. If your projects are adjacent or contiguous and they total 50 acres or more, you will still have to have a dust control monitor. So you'll want to keep this in mind when you're submitting this. If your project is 30 acres, but it's next door to your other project that's 30 acres, although this isn't going to require you to submit a dust control monitor, when it gets submitted to the permit reviewer, they will still request that you have a dust monitor, and then it'll have to be entered on the back end. Okay, organization name. He's going to work for me. I know there are a lot of third-party consultants that do work in the Valley. So you would put their name, what office phone number. He works for me, so the office phone number will be the same. And his fax will be the same as the company fax. His email address. Okay, so on our dust monitor forms right now, we don't have a field for an email address. But we are adding it here. Some of the dust monitors may have noticed that they are getting our construction notices and dust advisories. When you put their email address in here, it will all automatically put them on that advisory list so that when we do send out construction notices and dust advisories, they will receive a copy and you won't necessarily have to send them a copy. Yes, Heather?
Is there additional requirements for dust control monitors besides just having a dust card?
So dust monitors go to a 2-day class. It's a full 16 hours with our instructors. The class goes deeper into what is required on site. Dust control monitors do also have to keep records, and dust control monitors have to devote their time to
Smoke school?
Oh yeah, in smoke school. They have to devote the majority of their time to dust control matters on site. So they can't be doing 5 things and then looking out for dust. They have to make sure that the site is being maintained. The one other thing that a dust control monitor is required to do is go to smoke school. We offer smoke school twice a year. When they renew their dust cards every 3 years, they are signed up for the smoke school class. And they must pass that class. Okay, let's put in fake John Hughes's email address. And his fake dust monitor card number. Okay, now I selected blasting in my project attributes up above here. Okay, because I selected blasting, I am now required to enter in my blasting supplemental information. Okay, so Let me see what kind of fake information I have created for this. All right, so my blasting contractor is going to be John's Blasting Company. Okay, name of contact, George Johns. Mailing address, okay. We're going to put some made up address for them. Last Avenue. We're going to say that it might be in Las Vegas. If you have a street named for what you do, that would be super cool. Okay. So his office number and his mobile and okay, blasting start date. When is John's blasting going to start blasting at this location? We're going to say 7:15. We want to make sure to plan to have our permit in place first. And when are they going to end? We are going to say that they're probably going to be ending in October. My contractor is going to blast within the times allowed, okay? Blasting frequency. It's going to vary. I don't know when we're going to material blasted. We're going to say caliche. Acres to be blasted. I've already identified the 5 acres on my map. So it's going to be 5. Blasting depth, let's just say 30 feet. I don't know what the appropriate one is. Distance to nearest residence. So the nearest residence from my project is more than 3,000 feet. And to the nearest business, it's more than 4,000 feet. I measured it using one of the measuring tools on Open Door. Have nearby residents been informed? In my case, they have. Have the businesses been informed? Sure have. Blasting map. Okay, so the blasting map is the area that you are blasting in, okay? I have identified it here on my map. So I am going to select my map and put it in. This is required. We do also allow KMZ files. A KMZ file is a file that you create in Google Earth. I'll show you that in a second. And here's the responsible official certification statement, okay? It's very similar to what our dust control permit application right now has on page 4. You must check off these boxes to certify and authorize and whatnot, that you are the account holder, you have authority to submit this, you agree that this constitutes as an electronic signature that's equivalent to your signature, and that this permit application is valid as it is being submitted, okay? Additional documentation. Every dust control permit application requires a map be submitted. We're going to select our file. And the link to Map Assistant is also here. So if you haven't done your map on the front end, when you get to this point, you can go into Map Assistant and download a parcel map and start from there or whatnot. In this case, I used a parcel map. On one of the other examples that we're going to do today, I used an aerial. So I'll show you guys that in a bit. Once again, we do allow KMZ files. Now for this project, I created one. I'm hesitant to open it on this computer because it's not mine and I don't know how well it's going to open up a Google Earth file, but it is shown as KMZ. When you click on this file, it opens up Google Earth and it shows us the exact area that you want to permit. KMZ files, we love them when they are submitted for big projects or projects that are not just like a parcel. So say you are doing 200 acres of a linear project because you're redoing a freeway, or you're on a 200-acre parcel and you're permitting 43 acres and it's not just a square. KMZ file is super useful. We can check your acreage like automatically. We don't have to go in and try to recreate it to try to figure out what your acreage is. So in this case, I created a KMZ. I'm going to upload it. Okay. So PDFs are the only thing that we allow for maps or for SMPs. It doesn't have to be an Adobe. It has to be a PDF, okay? And this is where I said you don't have to use Adobe, but your map will have to be in a PDF. Okay, now we can submit this permit right now. The button has turned green. We have filled out every option. If you are performing demolition of a structure that's 1,000 square feet or greater, you are supposed to submit an asbestos survey to air quality and demolition notification forms. Now, we have selections here for you to upload the files here. You don't have to do it here. But the asbestos reviewer does review every single permit application that has demolition on it, and he will request it from you anyway. Now, these two requirements, the notification form and the abatement form, they do have to have a wet signature, unfortunately. Once we are done with the pandemic emergency order, right now we're still accepting them with an electronic signature. Once the emergency order has been lifted, they will have to be a signed copy. So you might have to submit them twice, either here and possibly by mail. The asbestos survey, you can just upload it here. That way you don't have to print it out, bring it to our office, and then we end up scanning it and putting it back into the system. Okay, so we are now going to submit this permit application. Beautiful. Now I can see my permit application right here.